Good morning. This will be our late spring garden tour here. I'm going to start here on this side of the house, and there's my little truck, and there's the business mobile, Permanence Erosion Control Limited. It's my new business. Getting started with that and off and running to a good start. So this is my place. I own this, and been working on this garden for a few years now. I'll give you a quick overview from a few different angles first, and then we'll go start walking around. This is the view from right over there, was where I was last. And this is the south side of the house. So this way is south. Here we go. So up front here, I've been chopping, dropping western dock. That's this one here, and it was going great guns there for a while. We got a lot of Siberian elms around here. Irises I've been moving around quite a bit. These are a real common weed you'll see. There's some wild lettuce here and there. That one happened to get chopped and dropped, but I'll be making medicine from those too later. So whenever they're just about to go to seed, I'll make an anesthetic from them. Got some squash planted up front here and a little bit of an irrigation system set up. This one's just set up to run off of city water right now. Mostly I haul my water from inside and bring it out. You know, just leftover from the bathtub. There's some rhubarb up here, a couple of tomatoes stuck into this area. Our last freeze was about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. Pulled this tree over in the front yard. We got a 16,000-pound winch on that truck. It's real handy. You can pull trees over and keep the roots in the ground so that you keep the tree alive, but put the shade where you want it. Kind of handy. I got some small salad area here. This is the salad mix I'm trying to get going. I'm trying to turn it into a self-seeding mix here, and it's working out fairly well. I've got a few lettuces that are doing pretty well. Right in here there was some golden oyster mushrooms that I've got going in these hugelkultur that already gave me 1 meal worth of mushrooms this year, and I've got a few dried too to be ready for more. I've got sunchokes going here and there. I know they're troublesome, but they mulch well too. I mulch just about anything that gets weedy, of course. That makes everything work out nicer because all your mulch is right there. Whole lot of Egyptian walking onion. That one's a good mulcher too. You know, there's so many things that just don't take too much work to make a lot of good mulch out of. Of course, I chip branches for work and use those wood chips here in the garden. Let's see, we've got another rhubarb over there, and there's a Nanking cherry probably. Either that or a choke cherry, I'm not sure. We'll see whenever it fruits. There's a columbine back hidden under that mess. There's a grape in there. There's some strawberries in there, and some, I think those are blackberries, and box elder, Manitoba maple that I pulled out of a ditch up a little higher elevation than here, but they go great guns. You know, back when I worked in local government, we dug them out of that ditch up all the time and just threw them over the edge. So I figured I'd replant one here in my front yard. I'm sure I'll get 6 or 7 out of it. I love those trees that propagate so easily like that. Easy vegetation is a thing that I do. I've got some rocks that I just collected with a permit from the BLM. I've got some vines. I think that's just a wisteria over there that I'm gonna try and get to crawl up this fence here over time. Just a flowering vine, that one. And this, is this a cotton Easter, I think? I've got more of those in the backyard. That'll, this front fence is going to become a hedge over time instead of the fence, which will wear out over time. And then there's some ribes in there and more elms. Because if you have elms, you get elms. Amazing, huh? There's some more of that western dock. This one hasn't been, well, it's been cut back once, but I just cut the seed heads off of it, and it'll need more attention later on. So the pathway's all, this pathway's all logs. It's got a wild mushroom running in it that I doubt I'm going to be able to outcompete with my oysters, but they're turning into dirt anyway, so they're turning into soil anyway, so that's a good thing. Collecting some free mulch from the neighbor here. I'll be back with you in a minute. Anyways, back to that tour of the garden. Yeah, so this is another hugelkultur bed. This used to be a dog hideout down here. It also catches the water coming off of that garbage. Oops. Yeah, it's a fair little cavern back in there. Maybe you can see something of it. Yeah, this is all hugelkultur, about 3 feet, 4 foot deep. There's the dog whose doghouse it used to be, but the opening there is getting a little bit skinny as she gets fatter. There's a gummy berry and mulberry and one of the failed pine nuts, Korean pine nuts. There's a ribes that's doing pretty good. And of course, more Egyptian walking onion. Like I say, I cut that stuff for mulch. It's good stuff, and nice and easy. More of these. Those do flower. Kind of nice for that. They bring in some bees. Kind of no, those aren't. It's the other ones that are umbellifers. Yeah. There's some more choke cherry or Nanking cherry, not sure which. And of course, lamb's quarter. It's my dominant promoted annual weed that I promote the most. This lettuce is starting to get weedy. This all was volunteer from last year, and I've been eating out of it all spring. Got some hollyhocks over here. Some just mulched gumwood over here. Chop and drop that. And there's some irises in there. They're pretty. They're pretty. Yeah, some squash that I should have planted a long time ago. Reworked this area. I'm running a new hugelkultur sheep mulch combination sort of thing with my my garden beds, and that's what I did here. They build soil really fast and hold a lot of water. This is my compost tea system. I usually keep one of these in the front yard and one in the backyard, and it's pretty much water compost tea that way all the time. Yeah, so I just make the compost tea in there. I have a drill with a paint stirrer on it that I take and aerate it with every day. And then there's a piece of old window screen wired to the top of my watering can that filters it. Yeah, going into the backyard here. Of course, I've been here 3 years, but I only really got tooled up this last year. This is an apple. That's more of a rootstock, and there's a grape there. Another apple with a strawberry at the bottom of it. Right there, it ain't looking terrible good. I need to pay more attention to it. It gets a lot of water right there, so it probably needs more compost. More strawberries in with some weeds. And an elm. They dug a water line through here about 10 years ago and never put any elms back. This is the anoxic pond. Currently I've got hoverfly larvae living in there. There's the little dimples that you can see on the water surface. Let's see, find it. Yeah, there's a good picture of one, center screen. These little guys, they're pollinators. Not necessarily native, but and I know you're gonna scream about mosquitoes and all that, but I monitor this pretty closely and take care of the mosquitoes when they start really breeding hard. There's not currently any mosquito larvae in here, so that's a good thing. Just the hoverflies. There's more sunchoke and more oh, I forgot the name of that one, right from the front yard to here. Hello, Miss Rena. Oh yes, she's a good puppy dog, huh? Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Is that tail busy? Is that tail busy? Yeah, yeah. Oh yes, oh yes. There's another cherry. That one sure is healthy. Must be a good spot for choke cherries. And that's probably a choke cherry, I guess. I don't know. I don't know the difference between all these different cherries. I need to look it up. So this is, last year I put a bunch of onions in under this, but onions are a dime a dozen anyway, and I got a whole bunch of ramial wood chip mulch from when we cut some of my mom's trees. There's a vining mulberry in there. There's another one over there. Eventually was gonna build a pagoda over this. This is where I'm putting in a gray water filtration system to handle my gray water out of the house, and then I'll pump it back up to the top of the front yard. Probably put in a solar pump, something like that, so it'll happen automatically. Solar air pump is what I'll use, just so it can run dry without a problem. I'll just run it direct solar instead of running it through a battery, make it easy. And there's this bed. That's one of those new sheep mulch hugelkultur beds. The asparagus is doing well in there, as well as garlic, and of course Egyptian walking onions and garlic chives, and doesn't seem to be any strawberries going in here. That's a bummer. This is a type of morning glory we have around that my mom grows that is quite prolific. I don't know, I don't really necessarily like that one that much, but it puts roots in the ground. Why'd you go down there? Oh well. So yeah, here's this other bed. It's got a cherry going in it over there. Another western dock, garlic, sunchokes. This one was made using an earlier style, just pretty much straight hugelkultur, and it's a little bit less productive. It's a little bit harder to keep moisture in, but it does enrich the soil around them quite nicely. The worms and stuff in the soil around it just love it. This is more of that one shrub that I showed up front. I think it's cotton Easter of some kind. It does good on biomass. Yeah, I just cut it back right here, so that gives a little bit of mulch to this path every time I come through here. Another Siberian pea shrub. There's several of those up front too. Another one or two in the backyard as well. Another coppicing bush, more like, with that one. I planted a mulberry under here, but I don't think it made it. So I don't know. I'll wait on it. I'll always wait on plants, see if they come back from root or whatever. But this is kind of a challenging climate, and the soil wasn't good at all to start off with. I had in mind to build a greenhouse over here. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or just go with a deep sealed well-like structure, so that'll stay down below the freeze line and keep my filtered water, that runoff water and gray water, down below the freeze line, and then that way in the winter I can pump it out too, and pump it up to the front yard where it can freeze on top of the soil resource area. We got some mushroom logs over here. These are I think she put golden oyster spawn in these. I'm not sure what type of, I'm pretty sure it was golden oysters she ordered. Yeah, my mom ordered some mushroom spawn this year, and so I borrowed a little bit for a few logs from her. And yeah, so just getting all this going. I've got my entrance into the house over there, and a 2% grade coming out to the other end where I'm still working on getting hole dug. Let's see what else. I planted out a small area over here this year where I cleaned up a little bit because the mulch was getting up into the wood on the house, which is not necessarily a good thing. Yeah, so this is all planted up, and I'm gonna sharpen up that little grass whip. I'd like to find a better scythe, or just build one, I guess. Yeah, so this is the extent of my rainwater catchment system currently, but it'll be easier to do a lot more of that once I get some of this stuff moved out of the way. I'm probably gonna, I don't know, I might sell that boat, I don't know. I built this rock wall last year. It's kind of a nice little sitting spot. And I got another nice little sitting spot right over there. That one's partly carved out of logs and partly rock wall built into hugelkultur. I think I'll be building my hugelkulturs more like this and running some kind of a moisture barrier liner between those sandstone rocks and the garden itself, because that sandstone, man, that stuff, it doesn't mulch very well. It seems like it transmits a lot of water through it that I'd really rather stay in the good healthy soil of those garden beds. And I'm still working on that, so yeah. But yeah, I think that turned out nice how we got these little plantings in it like this. You know, you can take and, you know, just a nice little spot to sit, you know what I mean? And yeah, a couple of greenhouses up front I'd like to do here. Not sure what kind of permission the city is gonna work me over for trying to do that. Yeah, I'm dreading that process, but well, that's life. Oh yeah. Anything I haven't showed you yet? There's some more rhubarb right there. That can start spreading into the backyard sometime soon. I'm also going to spread some of this, I'm going to spread this salad mix this year as much as I can, because that's nice to have that salad mix right on hand. Yeah, so that's my garden. Thank you for watching. Y'all have a great day.